So I'm sharing now about overcoming an order and work, really. Basically, acceptance, submission. So we have an impulsive mind, instrumental mind, a socialized mind, a self-authoring mind, and a self-transforming mind. This is from Robert Kegan. The impulsive and instrumental minds are largely self-absorbed. The socialized mind is heavily influenced by the surrounding. The self-authoring mind is self-directing, self-defining, and independent. Self-sufficiency is the value. Self-transforming mind is the interpenetrability of self-systems and interpenetration of self and other. We can discover its truth and identify in response to and in relationship with an ongoing interpenetrating experiential flux. This larger intimacy informs a self that's more flexible, dynamic, responsive, and open to a broader ongoing information flow. And Teilhard de Chardin says, love is the most universal, the most tremendous, the most mystical of cosmic forces. Love is a sacred reserve of energy. It is like the blood of spiritual evolution. Driven by the forces of love, the fragments of the world seek each other so the world may come into being. Patricia Albere says, perceiving one's own distinctiveness while being able to handle more intense and intimate experiences and more naturally attuned to the space between. When we're overcome, I'm sharing now that I learned, if I live a life doing and being what brings me fulfillment and happiness, then I will end up not being jealous or gloating. And if I embrace my femininity and say yes to all the parts of me, then I can feel truly whole and receptive to transient penetrations. Trusting that what comes through me is good and worthy of existing and necessary, because we are all conscious instruments being used by the Creator as life force, energy, vitality, and I am irreplaceable. So I can overcome self-doubt and the fears, for example, what parents, friends, lovers think is more valid and accurate than what I think, or that if I don't listen, I'll be embarrassed, I'll fail, I'll be rejected or compared or laughed at or gossiped about, and more, is how to rationalize away the things that I actually want to do, and as if I'm not destined to desire and enjoy life so much that I lose track of time, or love so deeply that I lose track of my guard being up. Carolyn, Elliot shares about work, individuation, awakening, initiation, enlightenment. The veils become lifted as we become whole, that what we want was there all along. It's fulfillment. There's a unified mind, one, will and emotions and thoughts and being. Powerful in the undivided state is a high potency, full heart. Two is one world, soul, spirit, seamlessly incarnate and at one with all. This is in our perceptual consciousness. We have a holy guardian angel, the intuitive understanding of profound, non-local, non-linear connection. There is a healing of the disconnect between the ideals, intentions, inspiration, or the masculine spirit part of being, and two, the embodied, emotional, sexual, creative, feminine soul part of me. The strong and increasing ability to fulfill true potential is the two together. Self holds all polarities. Unconscious, direct knowing speaks in dreams and synchronicities. It can experience aspects as separate. The ego distance from the self results in the shadow, which we then have to integrate. Our ego personality harshly judges and disowns and denies huge parts of our actual being, rendering unconscious in both personal and the collective. So our emotions and desires that the ego disowns will haunt us, generating painful synchronous experiences that urge us to confront and reintegrate the disdained by part of the polarity, the return of the repressed. And the locus of agency, we make conscious the unconscious. We stop aligning with egoic one-sided choices of what's good for us or bad for us. We become more identified with our own wholeness as we become more identified with the wholeness that we share with everyone, becoming then even more uniquely individual. We heal the delusion of separation as we bring in so much newly now freed up creative divine energy, living in the mystery that we're not who we think we are, versus that compulsive repetitive thoughts and stories that don't resemble our true being. And there's nothing that, because there's nothing truly outside of our subjective awareness. Spirit is this active part of the self that perceives endless possibilities and perfection. It broadcasts in spirit. Total approval, total embrace, total celebration, total perception of already existing perfection in life. There's this existential twist. Some people love it and get turned on by it. Some people, it's different. We have to realize that our life here now in this body is an exalting celebration, that there's no reservation, shame, aversion, or judgment when we come into the full resonance with practical reality, planting seeds of it's already all perfect, gently, playfully opening, excavating unconscious desires So 1 is having is evidence of wanting, if we have anything. 2 is sensation experience can never be either pleasure or pain. We get to choose. It's qualitatively neutral. 3, getting off on every stroke or touch of life. Madly, irrationally invited to show up for our own life, whether it's people's opinions, money, states, or weather. 4, the degree of being turned on or off is how much we're willing to totally approve of our own life. Disapproval alienates, distances, and takes us out of the flow of interconnection, interrelationship, and isolates us in resentment and disempowerment. When we give ourselves permission to feel all the raw sensations that our emotions present, met with innocence rather than cynicism and disdain. Number 5, desire evolves through fulfillment, not through repression and denial. For example, the desire for scarcity, limitation, the desire to feel wronged or rejected, to feel unworthy or offended. We can allow ourselves to own and feel and even celebrate and feel free. These become elevated and evolved. 6, shame kills the magic available to us. We're the only one who has agency to give ourselves permission to be who we are. And stop creating negative synchronicities with our power that we could be using for positive synchronicities. And wise action really does come from radical self-acceptance. So we can avoid intoxicants, intoxicating behaviors, avoid taking what isn't freely given, to act non-harmfully with skill. Would I be differently acting now with full consent and awareness, emotional, physical conditioning that affects the sexual conduct or the understanding or the mindfulness? Dishonesty is really fear, confusion, greed, or denial. We look inward. No one else's acceptance of us can reduce our disdain. Our nervous system and digestive system deserve to rest, and we're willing to give ourselves that. I'm willing to give myself that. I don't need to be perfect to recover. Showing up and loving myself first is actually how to start the healing process, with intention to feel the whole moment and experience. What a luxury to pause instead of having to analyze. Everyone has the armor around the heart that causes them to hurt and abandon and punish. When we learn how to live with the compassion for someone without making it personal, without attachment, we can see they're in their own pain. And with radical self-acceptance, we can find versions of ourselves to reject. And recognize that we can stop halfway through when we're beginning this practice. And depressive negativity bias, perfectionism around wanting to be seen as good is really us doubting and then forcing. So we start to see I start to see my femininity, my masculinity, and then I can see the jealousy, the gloating, the insecurity in a sexually sophisticated self is room to heal my sexual trauma and residue fear, conditioning, needing space, sometimes even like 2 weeks. I can't even believe that anymore. Being disconnected from my heart, sometimes and not taking ownership for my own emotions where others have to reflect it back really intensely, or not appreciating someone else because I'm confusing the accessibility with availability, with desirability and existence and worth, and that I fawn to protect myself sometimes. Misleading people when I'm bored or lonely, receiving impulsivity because I don't know is too scary. Fragility can't be in the mystery. Fragility, like, I don't want to be in the mystery because looking to others for answers rather than cultivating my certainty. So I wish you an amazing Shabbos. It's Shabbos Chai Sarah, which really means the life of the princess, but it's about our, in Judaism, it's about our ancestress, Mother Sarah, the mother of the Jewish nation. Be well, bye.